So unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen something about artificial intelligence and this chatbot known as ChatGPT. I was curious myself, so I did some research and I was blown away by its capabilities. I wanted to learn more, so I reached out to my more knowledgeable friend, Ezra Fuller, and we decided to sit down and talk about its future impact on content creation. This is Behind the Frames, episode number 4. Let the show begin. Wanted to, I mean, as you've seen, as you've been a part of it, before you introduce yourself, the internet world has kind of been exploding as of lately with, information about artificial intelligence and like what people have been able to do with content creation. And I figured there wasn't anyone more perfect to have on the podcast to talk about it than you, because you're super in the know about all things the internet. So yeah, I just figured it'd be cool to kind of just sit down and chat about it and maybe think about some ideas of what creators can do in this like ever changing, very fast world, I guess. So yeah.
Well, I'm Ezra. I'm Ezra Fuller. We used to work at the same company.
Yes.
And now I work at a new company, 137. It's a media company that covers a lot of things: music, sports, gaming, NFTs, culture for the 20 to 30-year-old person. And it's owned by Gary Vee. That's kind of the calling card. And owned by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vee's been my idol for 5 years, so I was able to get that job. And been there. I help run the Instagram account and coordinate some of those posts. So and then AI hit my radar, and I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. And the chatbot is what's really interesting. Like, I think creators can use all right, I'm going to give all the value in 5 minutes.
Do it. We got to. Yeah.
No, it's so interesting because there's this ChatGPT thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ChatGPT is the technology behind it. It's this protocol, and it's been around for a while. Like, I remember, I don't know if you've heard of the channel Corridor Digital. Do you know those creators?
Yeah.
Huge fan of Corridor since 2016, 2017, and they are in the know. Like, they were in Unreal Engine 5 before like movies were using it. It's a video game engine that helps record movies. It's pretty wild. Yeah. And they did this thing that was like a Dungeons and Dragons role play thing, and it was a chatbot. In this chatbot, you could basically say, hey, I want to write an adventure. Ryan is the main character. He meets you basically write the first paragraph of like what the story is, and then it continues and like tells this story, and then you can kind of interact with it again, and it's all this text on screen, and you're interacting with the computer like a human, and the computer's giving back like human. It interacts like a human. So that was like the first iteration. That's when I first I haven't told anyone this really except my brother, because I showed it to him like 2 to 3 years ago, this chatbot stuff. So now the technology become better, and it's not just like a bar gimmick anymore. It's like creators are using it to write scripts, and they're using it to reformat information in different ways, like a blog post or a tweet or a video script, or you record this conversation we're having, ask it to give you the 3 main points, and then now you have, now you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Let me clip that into smaller pieces. So it makes the workflow easier for creators, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means. It's this chatbot that's been going around, last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's trained to sound accurate, but not be accurate. It's literally made to sound like a human and sound confident like a human, but it's not going to cross-reference that information. You say, hey, give me the latest information on the Celsius drink. It's like, I don't know what that is. Actually. I don't know what Celsius is. I'm a chatbot, and I can't pull information from the internet. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, because it's like ever growing. It's listening to the questions that people ask. I think one of the common things. Well, actually, I'll just talk about my own perspective.
Yeah, I talked a lot there.
No, you're good. That was great. That was a great starting point. I think I was not following it at all, which is actually the funny part. Is the reason why I started following it is I saw your Instagram story about you typing in the ChatGPT, and I was like, I've been hearing all about it on TikTok, and I was like, let me just look into this and see what the heck it is. And I was up until like 3 a.m, just typing stuff in just to see what would happen. And I was absolutely blown away. In the moment, I was a little worried. A little, as I feel like is kind of the common thing that a lot of people are feeling is a little bit of worry about it. And this feeling of like, oh, it's going to replace us.
That always happens the first time. Like the first time you dive into it for the first hour, you're like, dang, everything's meaningless if this robot can just interact like a human.
Well, I mean, I had also seen a couple, I don't even know what the programs are, but you basically give it a bunch of clips and it'll just make you a promotional video or something like that.
Really?
I saw that on TikTok. But something that after I sat on it a little bit, I was like, this is actually, I think it's going to force creators to be a little bit more efficient. And also it's going to force creators to probably be better. The idea of being able to like get scripts and stuff as a starting point, especially because there's a lot of really good filmmakers out there and a lot of really good content creators, but I think there's a huge lack of ideas. And I think ideas are actually one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people stop creating content. Maybe they hit like almost like writer's block, but now there's this chat bot that you can essentially give it just a little bit of pointers of where to go, probably find a really good starting point for a script. I think that's really cool personally.
To that point with the AI, you could say, okay, let's say that you write a script for a video and you're stuck, you're like 2/3 of the way there. You're like, it's just not connecting. You could paste that script in and say, give me 3, I have writer's block. Give me 3 ideas for the rest of this script and bullet point it. Or you could say, write the whole script for me.
Yeah.
The issue with the write the whole script for me is it's pretty stale. Like it feels stale to me.
Yeah.
And I've had people at work, like I'll use ChatGPT for like this and that. And I'm just such an enthusiast. I'll use it for as much as I can. Yeah. And people are calling me out at work for using this writing as they can start to tell. So yeah, there is that creative element. As of now, there is that piece of human creativity that you still need to have. It's not going to replace, I keep saying it's not going to replace people now, but it will start to displace people that don't know how to use that chatbot.
To that point, it actually reminds me a lot of like if you look in like the filmmaking world or actually just the photography world back when it was like analog and then digital cameras started coming out and the people that were shooting film were like, they were the purists. They're like, yeah, we're not going over to this. And a lot of them were kind of out of a job, because digital cameras took over the world. And I think it's going to be, I don't know if AI is going to replace people, but I do think it's going to be something that every creator needs to adopt for sure. Because if they don't, then I don't think they'll be able to operate with the same speed and efficiency as someone that is using it, so.
And does that, like, is the fact that, this script was written by an AI, right? Does the viewer, if the viewer knows that, what's their initial reaction?
Right.
They're going to probably not be super pumped that they just watched a video made by AI. They might have a visceral reaction.
Sure.
So, how long is that going to last? Like, I don't know. I'm literally just like, no one's the expert in this field except for maybe the people that created it, but we're all just learning, along with it.
I think like with that point, like going back to using it as like as just a starting point to be able to let your ideas soar. Like I think using it for outlines is like a great way of like using it, but also like not being completely the creative point of the video. Just having to give you like little bullet points or something like that. I mean, I even made an Instagram post the other day, and I'm like, my least favorite part about Instagram is writing captions. I can't freaking stand it.
I saw that.
I feel like I can't stand like people putting just a photo and this idea of like them really not knowing what to say, so they just start pulling random meanings out of it. It drives me freaking nuts.
That's kind of my specialty a little bit.
But I mean, I can't do that. The reason why I can't is it just doesn't feel like super, unless I have a story to tell
from the beginning.
Yeah,
all the way from the beginning.
Because typically it's like, I get a photo, I want to tell the story about the photo, and if I don't have one, if it was simply just me just shooting, what do I say? So I think I had like a winter photo from like 3 days ago, and I just typed in Chat GPT. I was like, give me a caption.
Give me a caption about not wanting to write a caption.
Yeah, literally.
Wait, is that actually what you did?
No, not for that one. But it inspired that post, actually. Yeah. But I had it write me a caption for like winter photography or something like that, and it came out all right.
And no one called you out for using chatbot?
No, but this is me exposing myself to everybody. But I do think like what you were saying about whether or not the viewer would know, unless people were like actually blatantly saying it, I think that actually brings up a lot of conflict when you think about like art. You know, like if AI is going to start creating art from scratch, the viewer may not completely know, but if they did, I think that would have a huge impact on whether that art would be successful. Because I think there's like, if you think about like I don't know, like a painting, or like a lot of people buy expensive paintings because of the effort that like went into it. And if you can somehow use AI to be able to do the same exact thing, but not tell anybody about it, then we start getting into some crazy stuff, I think, you know?
Right. It's so interesting because I've gone back and forth. Like, I mean, AI, and I think people are, when it comes to AI, I think people are initially visceral towards it because this is the first time that we can interact with a machine and it interact back like a human. And because this technology can do it, people are personifying it. They're like, AI is going to take our jobs, as if it's an actual person that's coming in and like, you know, beating them down with this unlimited amount of art. I think AI is a tool, just like a car is a tool. And before we had cars, a newspaper was a tool. And before we had newspapers, we had rocks. And people used a rock for good and people used a rock for bad. So I think people should just be careful with personifying the AI of like, it's going to take our jobs. Like, yeah, it's going to make some jobs obsolete, but the internet didn't make, you know, communications in general obsolete. When it comes to art, that's when I have a tougher time. Like, I wouldn't want to buy a piece of art that I thought was made by a person, but it was actually made by AI.
Yeah.
If artists are up front, maybe like enthusiasts are like, yo, this is so cool. I want to be part of this history because let's be honest, like this is history that we're living through right now. But if someone's saying, yeah, I spent hours on this and they're pumping out 5 every day, like I spent 2 years on this painting, but it's an AI and they make 5 in a day, like then you're just a liar.
For me personally, like at first I was scared. I was like nervous about it. And then I think there's a part of it that's actually really exciting. I don't know. The way I look at it is we have many moments, if you're a creator, you have many moments where you can like leverage something that will actually propel you into whatever you want. I think, I mean, if you look at, for example, like TikTok when it first started, the people who jumped on it and were there when it started did very well. Same thing with YouTube. And I think AI is going to be one of those things. I think eventually, I think someone's going to be able to figure out a way of leveraging it that is authentic. I mean, the biggest issue with creators today is like burnout. And I think AI might be able to help with that a lot, you know, being able to supply ideas, being able to like, I don't know, give inspiration for ideas. So
it seems like the give inspiration part is huge because because we need the human element. Like we need to have that human element. And again, AI is just not at a point where it can write at least Chat GPT from my experience. So like AI assisted, like when you, you know, when you use Photoshop, you don't have to say, everyone, just a heads up, I use Photoshop on this, or guys, I use Premiere Pro, unless you're advocating yourself as a purist. And I used to not edit my videos. I used to shoot manual only, and I would not edit. I wouldn't put a filter, I swear, but that was just for like skill building. But yeah, I think is like AI as inspiration to help facilitate ideas, not supply or not execute the ideas. And I mean, let's just go like a specific example. I saw this TikTok of someone giving like, okay, here's, I had this AI make a video script, or I wrote the video. Let's say that you write the video script, which I think is where like, that's where you get the human element. You could write the video script, give it to the AI and say, what are the 10 ideas out of here? Like, what are the 10 main points or the main things talked about? Give it to me in a bullet point. And then those 10 bullets are now where you put your B-roll and you just focus your B-roll and you build 10 little mini, you know, sections of B-roll based on this idea. And maybe otherwise you'd be sitting on your Premiere Pro timeline or Final Cut timeline, like damn, what do I put here?
Yeah.
Like, well, here's some instructions based on what you as a human created, and now you're still executing on your idea.
Yeah.
Because you gave the AI your idea and just said, hey, repackage this information in a way that now I can put my focus on to get this done more efficiently.
It could also be used for like getting clips like from a larger piece of content too, like having it pull those main points out, and you're like, okay, these are the ones that I should focus on.
100%. Because we've been talking about how it is now, how it looks now.
Yeah.
But I mean, once this goes to the AI knows what a viral TikTok clips look like.
Yeah.
And now, hey, AI, I have this long podcast. Please show me what the most viral clips would be from this podcast. And it edits it for you. That's kind of that's kind of wild. That's a little bit wild. Like, I don't know where I stand with that.
Like, it'll officially know, it'll have enough information to be able to know on, like, I don't know, past data of videos to be able to tell you what exactly will work.
You need to have this.
Wild.
A lot of people know that, but there's not a tool where it's like, okay, edit this for me now. And that's, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really interesting is when that happens, are we going to have too much information on the internet? Like, meaning, that's kind of a clickbait. There's your book right there. Is it like, are people going to be sick of scrolling Instagram if most of the content is just AI generated, like fast posts?
For sure. Yeah.
So then what are people going to do, right? Are people going to are they going to go to a different platform? Is the entire incentive of posting going to change? Because a lot of creators are appealing to the algorithm, which basically means make a catchy, punchy video that gets people in their emotions.
Yeah.
And they'll share it and they'll watch it for longer, and the platforms reward that. Can we get out of that and say, no, instead of making your video appeal to the most amount of people for you to get viral and get brand deals, maybe there's a way that you can specifically write to 1,000 people and they're paying $7 a month, and now you're supported $5,000, $6,000 a month, and you can just write to them and you can give them, you can write, you can deliver content in whatever manner, but it's a crafted message from you, and you don't have to compete for all that attention. Like, that's a dream world, and do I think that's going to happen? No, there's still going to be algorithms. There's still going to be people looking to squeeze, monetary value out of it. But, maybe I'm just projecting what I hope the future will look like.
I think if we get out of the chat bot a little bit and even talking about like the voice AIs and the deep fakes, that stuff, I think that stuff is a little bit, I mean, at this very moment, it's a little bit concerning to me. I just recently watched a video about music. Like, you can literally, type what type of music you're looking for and like the feeling that you're going for, and it'll just make you a completely
make you a new song.
Yeah, make you a new song.
Not find you an existing song.
That's insane. I think one thing though, like when I say excited about this, I think it like brings a little bit of like competitiveness to me to be like, all right, I gotta step it up.
What was that one kids book where it was like the man versus machine, and the guy he's like, it was written by Ezra Klein. I know that because my name's Ezra, and it's man versus machine. So you're the man. Well, the man died at the end, so be careful. At the very end, he did beat the machine, but
my brain will be placed into a robot, and I will continue on. So I actually got something funny. So the spirit of this this podcast actually inspired me to craft a question from AI.
Okay.
This is an AI crafted question. What do you see as the most advantageous use of AI to help content creators create better content? AI made that question, everybody.
Interesting. The most advantageous way to use AI for content creators.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right now, I think it's tough to pinpoint the exact way to do it. I think what I laid out earlier with like, educating your edit, or, here's the thing, like you write a script, right? And the script is the base of the video. So then you'll shoot the video, you'll put B-roll on it. And you could have the AI assist it with, here's the 10 things you should put B-roll on, by asking the AI to give you that based on the script. And from there, like AI is really good at repackaging information. So you could have that script, and that's a core of the video. Now write the description from the script, write a YouTube description. Now write 3 tweets. You could have it write 50 tweets and you pick your favorite. write 50 tweets, and you have to direct it. Like, you can't just say write 50 tweets based on this. It'll just pull, it won't sound right. You have to give it direction. So like, give me a punchy tweet to hook the viewer and entice them to watch this full video on YouTube. That kind of idea, that's not exactly how it would take some time to do that, but repackaging the information. So you get tweets, could get Instagram captions. You know, I haven't tried this, but like, what's the most interesting 15 seconds? Give me 3 of the most interesting 15 seconds of this script. And then, you know, could educate your clips, clipping it from long form based on that. So repackaging information for sure.
I think that, and also like, I'm wondering, and I don't know how it would do this. It might be out, it might not be out, but if you were to create a video and you were unsure if it was going to do well, and you can like plug it in and basically ask AI to say like, hey, what is the audience retention like within this video, and have it like basically pick out where the low point would be for you to cut out,
right? And
have it actually just make a video better, you know? Yeah.
Some AI feedback.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. So how have you used AI?
I've used AI to cook me a meal. I've used AI to, yeah, no, that one was interesting.
Was it a good meal?
It was, well, here's the thing, right? It was decent. It was decent, but
Are you a good cook?
No, I'm a really bad cook, and that's why it wasn't good. I asked the AI to make me a recipe for a meal prep plan for 5 days, and it gave me all that ingredients. So I went to the grocery store and I got the ingredients it asked me to.
Yeah.
And then the meal turned out bad.
So was the idea good and the execution was just terrible?
Well, the point is, even with the AI telling you the exact recipe, you need the human touch to it.
Sure.
The secret ingredient. The secret ingredient is the human, right?
That is true.
Because it's
probably
cooking
put a little bit too much salt in that.
Well, it was. Oh, I don't know the exact thing, but yeah, I didn't have a certain ingredient, and yeah, so the human execution wasn't great, but that's what made it great or not. There is the human input that's needed. So it was kind of a good lesson, because I didn't mean for that to even be the lesson. Where AI currently stands, it's repackaging information. So here's a great example. 2 days ago, I was making a post about a comet that's going to be visible January 12th, right, 2023. And I had this Wikipedia page, and I copied the Wikipedia page, pasted it into the chat bot, and said, explain this to me like I'm 5. And write 2 paragraphs and explain it like I'm 5. Now, it literally explained it like it was 5. It was like, so there's this object and it comes close to Earth. And I'm like, okay, this is too simple for an Instagram post. So then I recopied the Wikipedia and said, explain this like I'm in 9th grade. And it did. And it left a very good 2 paragraphs for me to then go in and put finishing touches on and make sure that the points were cohesive. So just literally any way that you can think of repackaging information. Give me a workout plan. I am, 25 years old, 5'10", blah, blah, blah. These are my health goals. And I did that. That's the video that I was talking about earlier. Here's a really interesting one. This is actually potentially contentious. I used AI so I wrote down in a journal, right? Just like a journal entry for the day, just talking about how the day went, thoughts, experiences. I then retyped that, because I wrote it on paper, typed it into the chatbot, and I said, use this journal and rewrite it as if it's a conversation between a therapist and a patient. And then it did this whole script about, oh, therapist, I noticed that you've been, you're looking to set your goals here for 2023. That's very smart. Can you tell me about them? And it took what I wrote in there and it acted like I was a patient. And then it offered some advice. And my whole thing was like, I want to find something that's that I can build on for years and years. I want to find something right now that I can build for 10 years, be proud of, be happy with. And I'm looking for that perfect thing. And the chatbot told me, the therapist that I the chatbot as a therapist that I instructed to do so said, that's great that you're thinking about the long term, but really you shouldn't worry about the big goals. You should just take one step at a time. It shouldn't be this whole big thing that you're looking to shoot for. Take it in smaller steps and do it one step at a time. So, that's a whole AI as therapy. Is it, should you use AI as therapy? It's not going to be licensed, but maybe always take it with a grain of salt. Because when I first did it, I was like, everything this chatbot says is so shocking and amazing that it must be true. Well, it's not great at giving accurate information. So maybe don't base your life off of a therapist conversation you have with it. But
what Ezra is saying is every man who's single use Chat GPT as a girlfriend.
Yeah, dude. And they have those. They have those, and it's not cool, man. That's not where society should be heading.
Oh my God.
As a therapist, maybe, but as a girlfriend, no. Just go out to the candle store and smell some candles. And
I wonder if you type in the Chat GPT for like best pickup line. I wonder what it would get.
Maybe. I mean, you probably could, you know.
Should we just do it live right now? I've got it on my phone.
Yeah, just two identical twins asking an AI for pickup lines.
All right. We're going to ask artificial intelligence Chat GPT for the best pickup lines.
They're going to be really cheesy. They're going to be like really bad.
Wait, top 3. I'm going to do, okay. Top 3 best pickup lines. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Oh God.
I think they're going to be really bad.
Okay. All right. Number 1. Do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again?
Heard that. That's lame.
Number 2. If I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together.
That's a classic.
And number 3. Are you an angel because your smile is heavenly?
Bro, those are
okay. These suck.
So hold up. So let's say that you're preparing to go to, let's say you're at a park. Like, give me 3 pickup lines to use at a dog park.
Okay, hold on. Give me 3 pickup lines.
I swear, if it like mashes in like something about dogs, it's
okay.
Your ears remind me of a dash hound.
All right, here we go. Number 1, is that tail wagging at me, or are you just excited to meet me?
Wow. Okay. Are they picking up the dog?
Wow. Yeah, that's weird.
Not on dogs, but okay. What's the second one?
Number 2, hey cutie, do you come here often? What the hell is that?
I mean,
number 3, looking for a pup to take home. I've got one right here.
That might work on a certain person. So maybe pickup lines aren't the greatest thing, because that's so generic, right? It's almost like, write me 10 great tweets. That'll give you a shitty result.
It's basically like the exact pickup lines you would get if you just typed that in Google.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And then maybe in the future it'll be like, just be yourself. Like that's what the AI will say. Like,
I mean, I also think like AI, how I've actually used it since I started using it, I would like find an article and I would just put it in there just to learn. Like if I'm trying to learn something and maybe an article isn't giving me like, maybe they're using like really big words that I don't understand.
Too many syllables
in this paste, right in the Chat GPT, and it, gives you the information.
Yeah.
I think it could be honestly used as a search engine,
Well, just today, Microsoft, so it turns out Microsoft invested in OpenAI back in 2019.
Really?
I believe they invested $1 billion into OpenAI. Like they were a very large investor in 2019. And it was just announced today that that Bing is going to overtake Google because they're implementing ChatGPT into Bing by March 2023. Who would have thought in the start of 2023, Bing could potentially take over Google? Like Bing was a thing that I used.
It was like a separate thing.
It was like a meme. Like nobody used Bing. The only reason I used Bing was to collect the rewards that it gave you when it launched, because they were trying to get people to use it. But then I'm like, I'm just here for the reward, and that did. So now Bing, you can talk to it like a chatbot because they're going to implement that.
Yeah.
They also have OpenAI's DALL-E, like the picture generation. They're going to implement that into Bing. So Google might be in trouble with it. Like that's crazy. Honestly, because sometimes I'll use ChatGPT to get a personalized answer or a very specific, exactly like you said. Like, damn, I'm not really understanding this I'm not really understanding this article. Should I go back to Google and try and find a new one that I can understand, or should I just copy and paste this and say, use smaller words in this, explain it, explain it in more simple terms, and it'll do that.
I think what something interesting that I think, going back to the content side of things, because YouTubers, as they get bigger, as any creator gets bigger, they eventually like scale. They hire more people. They hire a thumbnail artist. They hire somebody to come up with the ideas. Whoever they need to hire to essentially be able to do what they do best. Because the reality is we're not a jack of all trades. That essentially every person has access to an assistant now. And it's up to you whether or not you want to use it. If you're not great at thumbnails, if you're not a graphic designer, you just have AI make you a thumbnail. Or if you're not great at scripting, you just have, if you're great at ideas, but you're terrible at writing, then you just have AI write you a script.
Mm-hmm. And maybe not every person wants to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, oh, it's not going to feel like it's mine. Okay. Yeah, for sure. But there's going to be people that do it. And yeah, it's like an assistant. It's like
and it's affordable. It's not going to cost you how much it is to
it's
to have an actual human.
It's a free assistant that will give you any repackaged information you want at a level that a minimum wage assistant can
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
Like, or at the level of a 12th grader.
I think that's the best, in my opinion. I feel like that's the best way for anyone to look at it, is just use it as an assistant, you know, but not take over the entire process. Because I know, I mean, doing this for the past 12 years, being that jack of all trades, I know where my strengths and weaknesses are, you know, and I'm not exactly in a place to just hire somebody, you know what I mean? So, I mean, thumbnails, for example, I'm terrible at thumbnails. You know, I don't understand them. AI does,
right?
You know,
so. I mean, it's pretty easy. You just put a red arrow and then you're like,
yeah, just crazy face, clickbait and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point, okay, maybe it's not able to create a thumbnail right now. It can't make an enticing thumbnail, but it can definitely, if you give it the script, it can definitely make an enticing title.
Yeah.
Write me a title based on this that's 7 words or less. And maybe you even give it, I haven't tried this. It would take, I guarantee you, anyone listening, if they do that, if they spend 2 hours on that, they're going to have some nice titles, like great titles. Yeah. And it might take some messing around with like taking Mr. Beast titles as an example and like rewrite this at, you know, repackage this information in a way. I'm taking my script, I'm taking what I want you to do, mash it together, and there's your personal assistant doing it for you. Okay, this is actually pretty this is funny. It's just a funny story. Yeah. I got that June oven. I don't know if you saw that on my Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
The super smart oven that has a camera in it. And, you know, it's got all these settings. And because it has a camera, you can put broccoli in it, and it'll auto-detect that it's broccoli, and it'll cook it to perfection, or so it says. Yeah. It doesn't every time, that's for sure. But when I first got it, I had to connect it to Wi-Fi before I could even cook anything. And I was having trouble connecting it to Wi-Fi. I couldn't connect this thing to Wi-Fi. It just wouldn't work. So I couldn't cook anything for 45 minutes because my oven wouldn't connect to Wi-Fi. Listen, that's not the type of future I'm trying to be in. I had to sign a terms and agreements to use an oven. We've gone too far. We've gone just a little bit too far, you know? So, yeah, man.
So what would your advice be to those people, to those individuals who are like avoiding it right now? What would your advice be to them?
We're in a place in the world where like it's so easy to discount something that you have no experience in, and it's so easy to write off other people's opinions. And if you haven't tried it, if you haven't spent 2 hours with it, like seeing what it can do and like really sitting down and giving your best effort, like do that, like really try, because if AI might not replace your job, but if you don't know AI, your job's going to be replaced by someone who does, because it's going to become more efficient. A lot of my time has been spent in the chat GPT, but there's a lot of things where it's like an AI can green screen a video for you, and that's runwayml.com. You know, you literally just give it, it's a person walking in a park, and it'll automatically green screen around someone. So there's all these different tools, and they're in their infancy. That's exactly, we're going to lose some people here, but with crypto, what I told people with crypto back in 2017, like, don't dismiss it just because it's complex or you don't understand it. Like, spend some time with it. And I get it. It's a fast world. Not everyone wants to do that. But if someone's watched this clip, like, it's 2023, new year, new me, you know, me and AI. That's your New Year's resolution.
I mean, I'd say like to go along with that is just take the time to at least learn about it, you know, at least learn about it. Don't, you know, because it's at least worth it to understand what the heck is going on, or else, like you said, you'll be replaced by someone who does know what's going on.
I saw a YouTube short of it's a deep fake, right? A deep fake is basically when you take the face of someone and you put it on someone else. And I saw this deep fake 6 months ago of Elon Musk announcing that he was doing a cryptocurrency thing. Yeah. And and it looked so bad. It looked so bad. I'm like, it had 2 likes on it. It had 2 views on it. And thank God, like, it looked pretty fake, and I recognized, like, damn, this is a crypto scam. Like, this is just straight up someone is arbitraging Elon Musk's identity to try and steal money from other people. Okay, skip. And I can skip it because that's clearly a fake. Well, it was 2 days ago that I saw the very first artificial intelligence. It was the first deep fake that I'd ever seen that had actually fooled me. Until the very last, like, 10% of the video, and I was like, damn, I was just watching a deep fake the whole time. Like, that person didn't say that.
I saw a similar thing. It was with Elon, and he was talking about Twitter, talking about like firing people when he took over Twitter, and it was the realest thing I'd ever seen in my life. But it was like, there's no way he said this, you know? So that's why I think, like, you can wrap up your point.
So I mean, it's wild. And so what are we gonna do about it? Like, what if now we have less trust in videos? We have less trust in what we actually see online. So, does that discount everything that we see? Possibly. And I think that there is a way. My last thing, there is a way to verify that video actually came from the original source, and that is it's NFTs, man.
Hey. That is actually a good point.
It's NFTs, and it's not NFTs, and it's not taking the currency aspect, but it's taking the cryptography aspect, meaning that's what the crypto part is, cryptocurrency, cryptography. Basically, that person, if let's say you as a creator, you want to release a video and you put your personal stamp on. Your personal stamp is a little thing in a little code in the video file. And that's a key, and it verifies. You don't have to know all the technical stuff, but on the back end, like if Instagram implemented this, Instagram could show you that this actually came from the original creator. Like, this video was from this person, and it can verify that that's true. Of course, there's all of this cops and robbers thing of like people finding a way to get around it, but a piece of metadata, a cryptographic piece of metadata, can confirm that it's not a deep fake. But again, like, even with that, it's like people might lose trust in what they see, and that's going to be a little bit chaotic on the internet.
Well, I think especially, like, if you start bringing things like politics into it, like, I mean, what news do you listen to? You know what I mean? That's a whole other conversation. That's you mentioning that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
And that kind of goes back to what we talked about before. It's like, I think people are going to spend less time. Okay, maybe I'm just like hoping that this is the truth, but if broadly, you kind of have to watch every single video with a grain of salt. Like, this person didn't say this. Where do you put your attention?
Sure.
Maybe it's the people that you've already built trust with, and they move to some other concept of social media where it's like, you pay $2 a month, and someone has 100,000 people doing that. Like, they're not incentivized to do sensationalized headlines. They're incentivized to tell people what they're actually thinking.
Moving on a little bit from the AI stuff, let's talk about your job just a little bit.
Yes.
I just want to know how did you even get it? Like, how did this even happen?
Let's see. How do I do this in a short way? I was at a company that sharpened my social media skills as a videographer. And then every single hour I had of hobby time, I would look into cryptocurrency because it was just such an interesting landscape. So I got into that around 2017. And then just went to meetups and was part of a cryptocurrency mining operation. And then I ended up quitting my job because I built up a little bit of then I learned about NFTs. And I was like, oh, this is like, it just clicked. Like, I had spent so much time in crypto that I knew in like 2020 that NFTs would be really interesting. And it was in a world that I understood. I had researched a bunch into crypto, and also at the time I was doing a daily poster series. I was a bit of an artist. I would do a daily piece of content that was like a picture, a 3D rendering, illustration. I'd do that for like 530 days in a row. And so one day I was like, dang, I really, also I traded a portion of my salary for Bitcoin at that company. And so that was a smart move. It turned out to be profitable. But during that time, I sacrificed a bit of the salary. So I was on a pretty small budget. So I had this art on the side, and I knew about crypto, and I Googled how to make money with digital art, right? And the first thing that popped up was NFTs. And I was like, oh, so you can make a unique piece of digital art that someone can actually buy and own, and you get the money from it. And if they sell it to someone else, you get a percentage of the royalty. Like, this makes so much sense to me. So got into NFTs and just bought. I had a bit of a bag with the crypto. Sold all of my Bitcoin to buy NFTs, and then I had made a decent amount of money there, or at least on paper, I had a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And then I sold enough to buy a house, a down payment of a house, not the whole house, and then quit my job at the same time.
Right.
So I quit that job to pursue passions in crypto, and I bought a house at the same time with no revenue coming in. So that was a bit stressful. Probably looking back, maybe I should have done that a little different. But I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
so
sure.
all during that time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my own thing with crypto, and I want to educate beginners. So I'm super passionate about onboarding and sharing, and anything I'm interested in, I want to talk to people who are also interested in that, and build my network of people that are interested. So at that time, I was working at a startup. It was called startwithnfts.com, and I was writing articles a little bit. I was freelance writing, and I was making a little bit of a YouTube video, like once a week on this YouTube. Well, there was no revenue coming in with that. So it was basically like I was building sweat equity into this company, and I wasn't getting paid. So the whole time I was selling NFTs, and every time I sold an NFT, it hurt.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I know that this is going to be worth more money in the future if I just hold on for a couple of years. So sold NFTs, and then still made no money with this site, but kept building sweat equity. And the founder of that website also had like another startup in a different area, so he didn't have that much time. And he's like, hey, he came up to me one day and he was like, listen, I know that we're not making money here. You need to make money. And so, I happen to be a freelance writer as well at 137. And it sounds like they're hiring, so I could talk to the daily operations person and hook up an interview. I was like, well, I've been such a fan of Gary Vee for 5 years, and there's no way for me to prove this. And I've tried to look it up that I posted this online, but I've always had an intuition that I would work for him one day and become closer to that. And so this was my opportunity to do that. It's like, oh, I want to get an interview with one of his companies. Like, this is what I've had an intuition for 5 years.
Right.
So, I got the interview, and I didn't know. I told Tyler Schmidt, who runs the day-to-day, I was like, I don't really know what I would do, but like I'm passionate about a bunch of stuff, and I think I could help. But he was like, okay, so how do you think, what would you do? And I was like, I actually don't know. I told him in the interview, I was like, I don't know what I would get into.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, maybe write a couple article pitches, maybe you'll be a writer, and then send those in. So I sent those in, and I didn't get an email back because that was Friday morning. And so I wrote 3 article pitches through Friday, sent it at 5:30 on a Friday. I'm like, I have to wait all weekend. I'm not going to get an answer.
Yeah.
And I didn't. But the thing is, during that time, in the NFT community that I'm super big into, VFriends, which is also Gary Vee's project.
Yeah.
They were doing a release of these physical cards.
Yeah.
And so I was talking with the person who set the interview up, the guy John Torrey, who started Start with NFTs.
Sure.
We would just happen to be on a meeting that weekend, and I was like, what would be a really good idea? If we did the arduous task of doing box breaks, looking at every box breaks, meaning people opening up cards on video, and we categorize that into a spreadsheet. That would probably get their attention, and it would be a huge asset to the community, because I had the question of, damn, I bought one of the boxes.
Yeah.
I was like, should I open this box or should I keep it sealed? Would it be more valuable? Which way would it be more valuable?
Right.
Well, the only really way to know that is if the huge cards that would sell for a lot, the rare cards, have they been pulled yet? Because people would trade on the idea that maybe the rare cards in the box. So I made the spreadsheet. So John and I categorized 1,000 cards out of 10,000 cards. We watched 100 box break videos. Each video is 10 cards.
Yeah.
And we categorized all these throughout the weekend. And once we got 1,000 cards, we released it to the community.
Yeah.
And I tweeted at Gary Vee and at Tyler.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, we got this spreadsheet we've been working on. I forgot to mention, all this time I just broke my ankle, first broken bone in my life, and I was at my mom's house, and I'm laid up on the couch with my leg up, because that's what you're supposed to do, I guess.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee retweeted that tweet, and I'm looking at it, and all these notifications are coming in, because Twitter is the place that all this NFT stuff information happens. I was like, holy shit, Gary Vee. I'm like, Mom, Gary Vee just retweeted me. And I'm sitting there, she's like, no way. She knows him and knows I'm a fan. And I was like, well, I guess this is what fame looks like. And I'm laid up on the couch with my broken ankle, and my sister's like, oh, it's so cool. So 2 minutes later, I get an email from Tyler saying, hey, let's talk tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
Here's the whole punchline. I was mindful of a question that I have. Like, it would be valuable if I had this answer for me. And I made a tool that would answer that question. I released it for free.
Yeah.
And then I used that to garner attention. We put Start with NFTs on there. We branded it. And then we put it out into the world. And that was my follow-up email, basically. You know, hey, Tyler, do we have a... No, I'm not. I don't know how to do that. I don't want to like beg to get another job. Like, here, I'll show you what I can do. And here's a spreadsheet. So that's how I got the job.
What was that feeling like?
The feeling?
Yeah. So like you had that dream of you know, you said you were going to eventually work for Gary Vee, and then to actually have it happen. Like, what was that like?
I totally honestly, like, I felt shocked. I was like, whoa, like, wow, this doesn't feel real. And then second, it was like, damn, I made it.
Yeah.
Like, I made it. I've been dreaming this you know, it's not like I woke up every day, but like, you just have the intuition that, you know, you're going to do that at some point in your life. I didn't know that it would come so soon.
Yeah.
So there I am sitting thinking that this is the highest thing I can achieve. This is the highest thing I aimed for, was working for this guy, for my idol.
Yeah.
And now I'm here at 24 years old. So like, now what?
Yeah.
And it's been 8 months and I'm still trying to figure out now what, you know? And I think I'm closer than I ever have been, but it takes serious work to think like, okay, let's say you make a big goal, or you get the sale, you get the client you were really hoping for, you make it to a spot that you've been looking to achieve for a while. It's like, if you reach that, then you're not aiming high enough, and you need to find where else to aim. And so, it's taken like 8-9 months for me to find where to aim next.
I think that's like something that I talk about a lot in these podcast episodes and in all the Instagram clips that I post, is this idea of like, life is a series of mountains to climb. And if you think there's ever just going to be one mountain, it's just not true. You know, there's always going to be a mountain that's higher than that, no matter what, you know? But I think that's super cool. And I'm curious, like, do you have a now what? Do you know? Do you know? Like,
I think back to when
next?
I think back to when I had the daily posters. The daily posters, it was a way of me expressing myself in a way that I wanted to.
Sure.
It wasn't repackaged for a company. It wasn't repackaged for a brand, for anyone else. It was just my journal. You know, it was like my creative expression.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful for me. And it gave me some kind of purpose, because I looked at it as if I was talking to my grandkids. Like, if you go back, like, they're on my Instagram profile right now, all 534 of them. If you look back, some of them are short, but some of them are like real deep. And I'm literally talking to my grandkids in that. And that gives me some kind of purpose. Like, I'm leaving a history, you know, and on the internet, everything, you know, it's there forever.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gives a purpose. So like, what's next is a new form of that, a new form of journaling. And I think it can all be summarized in sharing my human experience. And just like, because I think everyone's human experience is valuable. Some are more open to share theirs than others. Yeah. But I'm pretty open to sharing life experiences. Yeah. And I think there's trying to draw a lesson out for that for other people, and really trying to do good. So then it's just, okay, how do you want to package that? You know, is it a podcast? Is it that? What
you're talking about is exactly how I've felt, honestly, the past 3-4 years. You know what I mean? Because like, I think for a long time it was all about like, okay, I just got to be the biggest creator. I got to like build a following and all that. And now it's more like, what's going to be left like when I'm gone? You know what I mean? Like, what is all of this for? You know? And I think that's been something that I've been like thinking about a lot lately. And I think that's been the big inspiration behind this podcast, is sharing stories of others instead of focusing on my own, and sharing knowledge and value from others. First of all, I think it's great for an audience, but it's also extremely fulfilling for me to like learn from other people too. Because I would say 3 years ago, I had a huge ego and I thought I knew everything. And then I realized I didn't, you know? So
easy trap to fall into, especially if you feel you've accomplished something. I'll
say this, just from my perspective, seeing everything that you're doing, like knowing your personality, and seeing how I mean, you're a solution seeker at the end of the day. That's what you do. You know, you're always coming up with ideas. And I see you being like a personality, honestly. I really do. Whether that's on YouTube or whatever on social media. I think you'd be perfect for that. And I don't know if that's what you're possibly aiming for. I don't know.
Well,
you know,
here's the what I'm actually doing after this podcast is I'm going home and writing, like journaling. I'm just like journaling, and I have so many. I have ADHD, which it took me a while to grasp what that even meant, first of all, and then number two, accepting that, and then okay, how can I use that to my advantage? Because otherwise, it's just like, oh, I have ADHD, like. Could be bad or it could be good, and I want to use it for good. So I have so many thoughts that just pop up in the day. If I can capture those, like, oh, here's an interesting insight that I just realized. Write that down and then expand on that later. Like that's what I'm looking to do. And I think my plan is to do a Substack. And I have the name of it. First time I'm announcing this.
Okay.
As of now, it's called Bleeding Edge. The Bleeding Edge, and it's basically about like my journal talking about like day to day what I think, because I think if I package it in a certain way, package it meaning like write a blog post and really put effort into it, I think it can help people, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So journaling my life experience, because not with social media, like everything is just so like perfect and like it's almost like sensory overload. Like let's sit down and read a book once in a while.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Like this long form, like I don't want to appeal to this super short form, and I'll do the short form, whatever. But just let me sit down with my own thoughts and really think through and challenge myself and share those thoughts with others. And I also don't want to niche down because I have so many different interests. So the idea is it's called Bleeding Edge, and it's about like cutting edge technology mixed with just random shit. I think people, I found this today, I want to share it with someone. And by sharing it, it's attracting people who I would want to be around in the network. So bleedingedge.substack.com.
Nice.
That's where to go. And I haven't written the first one, but literally after this, I'm going home.
That's awesome.
And writing the first one. So
one last thing I want to talk about is you talk a lot about sweat equity, and if there's anything I want this podcast to be about is like inspiring others, and also, sharing perspective that the viewers might not have, because maybe they haven't been through what we've all been through, the many years of trials and tribulations and hard work. And some people might be just getting into this now, whether that's content creation or whatever it is. Can you talk a little bit about this this journey of being better, I guess, this journey of always working on new things and I don't know, like just being motivated?
I don't know where motivation comes from exactly. But the journey of like keep going. I think, I don't know, how do I put it into words? Like I think the whole reason I'm searching for something new to do, or like something big to aim for, is because like I've experienced making it in my mind. I've experienced making it, which is like, there's this big goal. I'm going to work for this guy. And I did it at a young age. Also at the same time, had like $1 million on paper wealth in NFTs. So I'm like, damn, I'm working for my idol and I'm rich. And I felt like I made it. And then like, but that's not the end. Like, I really think at such a young age of 24, and doing both of those things, I think, and it took me a while to get back on my feet, because really I was like, I felt depressed after doing that, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I could buy whatever I really could think of, and I didn't cash out. So it's like, and then all that wealth disappeared because now we're in a bear market and I didn't cash out. And so now that it's not worth $1 million anymore.
Yeah.
So that took like going through that up and down. It's like, well, that's not even the destination. Like where you actually want to go, to me, it feels like I've achieved two of those things, two of the big things. And when I was at that point, I was like, damn, I'm kind of depressed though.
Yeah.
So like even when you make it, like the journey really is the destination. Like the destination is not the destination. It's the journey that makes it worth it. Like I don't know how to put it into words to like make other people understand that.
Yeah.
But like experiencing it, it's not like, you have to be doing something that's fulfilling every day. Otherwise your day's not gonna be fulfilling. Like it has to be an activity every day that you do that is actually fulfilling. And if you don't know what that is, like just journal, like sit down. I think social media is so prevalent. It's so easy to scroll on Instagram and not realize. You don't even realize you picked up your phone and you're just watching Instagram.
Yeah.
Humans weren't made to do that. Like if you think about it, when was the ease of information that we have started 5, 8, 10 years ago? So it's going to take human beings a while to adjust to that. And so we're going through that right now. And it just takes some adjusting. So that's why I think like do what's worked for other people throughout history. Like people wrote down and they really sat with their thoughts. Like people had to sit with their thoughts until electricity and TV and radio, like to fill just that constant. So
I think what you said about enjoying the journey and do what you're passionate about, I think that's absolutely key. Like make sure you're doing things for the right reasons. And also like if you're doing something for the wrong reason and just for the fact of like, I just want to get to the end goal. A lot of people who do that, they get to that end goal and they're like, they look back down and they're like, okay, now what? You know, like you had that feeling of like depression, like you're almost like, you know, you try to achieve this main goal, you make it almost your entire identity, and then you make it to your end goal, as some people do. They don't have goals after that. They just make it to that end goal, and they're like, everything I've been working towards pretty much my whole life is now officially over. But it really isn't. You know, I think it's up to you to move on to the next thing. You know, so
it's like, okay, cool. Like made it. I bought a house, have the money in the bank, but I didn't actually have it in the bank. Dream job. Okay, cool. Like what next? Like, okay, cool. I can relax now. Okay, but that's not rewarding.
Right.
It's not rewarding at all. So yeah, that was like, I think that was majorly what it was. And it's just, I get like, what do you get fulfilled by really? You know, I think every person's different. And for me, it's like, I want to work towards something and do good in the world. So
yeah. I think, you know, just never stop. First of all, Ezra, where can people find you?
Ezra with a camera, all social medias, and then the Substack if you want to follow the journey of journaling online and me sharing my lessons and trying to be sharing more of my personality and lessons in life, then bleedingedge.substack.com.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure, and I'm excited to see where everything goes. I'm excited to still, you know, keep on following the journey. But anyways, thanks for coming on, dude. I appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you.
This guy, I told him we could do it online. He's like, no, man, we gotta keep the style that you've been going.
You gotta get this set up, man. You got the whole light. You got like.
I really appreciate it. I really do. So check out the links. I'll leave the links down below in the description if you're on YouTube. Check out his stuff, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Peace out, guys.
Give me my sweatshirt back.